بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful.
Allah Azza wa Jal from here on is going to talk, it's a long passage. He's going to talk about the ongoings of a nation that came before, a town, some town, to whom Allah sent a number of messengers. I will give some introductory comments that are important for you to understand the rest of the story, so we don't get caught up in these details later on. But there's one outstanding thing from the last conversation, part one. Here's what it is. Remember I told you how Allah, the truth became clear to them, and after that their hearing was, there's a wall in front of them, wall behind them, collar on them, etc., etc. They're blocked from the truth entirely. Just make sure you understand that Allah never does that until people make up their mind to reject the truth, even after knowing it. Allah never blocks the path to truth for someone who had no idea. So you'll notice in passage 1, Allah did say that their ancestors were never warned and they are unaware. You remember that? فَهُمْ غَافِلُونَ. He did not block them. But after the truth, لَقَدْ حَقَّ الْقَوْلُ عَلَىٰ أَكْثَرِهِمْ فَهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. The truth became absolutely clear. The word was absolutely manifest to them. They still refused to believe. Now that's a crime that should be punished in this world and the next. And the punishment in this world is that they get no access to thinking properly anymore. They refused to think when they had the chance, and they made up their mind. Actually, they did think, and they did come to the right conclusion, but still didn't live up to it. Fine, have it your way. Now you don't get to think about it. That's Allah's punishment in this world. So that's just a clarification about the previous passage. The second thing about now is how the Qur'an talks about history. By the way, has history been alluded to already in section 1, that we should learn from history? Where? وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ سَدًّا. Behind them there is a wall. If there was no wall behind them, they would have learned from what is behind them. They would have thought about what is behind them, which is history. So now we're going to learn one of those lessons, the lessons from history. But the way the Qur'an approaches history, Allah does not tell us names of places, except very few like Misr. Allah does not tell us names of many individuals. You're going to see no names mentioned now. You're just going to call them people who were sent. Allah does not mention dates, chronologies. He doesn't mention them. The Qur'an is the perfect word of Allah, perfectly tight. Yes or no? So if Allah wanted, could He have mentioned all of those things? Yes, He chose not to. And He also chose that the Prophet ﷺ, the best mufassir of all of the mufassirin, the best explainer of the Qur'an ever, could have been who? The Prophet ﷺ. Nobody will explain the Qur'an better than him. He decided not to tell us the names of these towns, the names of these people, the villages, the dates, the chronologies, nothing. You know what that means? That that's not the point. That's just not the point. Not in the Qur'an. But you know what happens to us when we start studying this stuff? We like all the information. We like all the details. We especially like the details that Allah did not mention. And we love those details so much, we stop paying attention to what Allah did mention. It's a tragedy in the study of the Qur'an. So when I studied, for example, this passage, give them an example. وَضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلًا. Strike an example for them. أَصْحَابَ الْقَرْيَةِ. The people of the town. The town. The question arises, what? Which town? Is this New Jersey? Where is this? Is this Sialkot? Where is this town? And so, in our history, you find many, many, many scholars and opinions about this was a town called Antakya, this was a town over here, this was a town over there, this is over here. If that was important, who would have mentioned it? Allah. If this was important, He would have at least said, go find out which one it was. He didn't. That is all a distraction. That isn't the point. We have to make the Qur'an supreme. What it makes important, we make important. What it dismisses, we dismiss. That's how we submit to the Qur'an. That's how we submit to the word of Allah. Our thought process needs to submit to the word of Allah. There are things that are insignificant and they should remain as such. They can be interesting academic exercises, but they don't change the priority. And the Qur'an came to give us the right kinds of priority. It's not just a book where you just want to collect information. Information isn't the point. It's thinking the right way, getting guidance, processing the things in the correct fashion. So now let's begin. So Allah says, give them an example. When an example is given, it is so you can benefit, so you can understand better. I'd like to remind you that in the previous passage there are three audiences. There are three audiences. There is the Prophet himself, alayhi salatu wasalam. So the example is going to benefit him in some way. Keep this in mind. Another audience is the disbelievers. So this example will comment on them in some way. But there's also a third audience in the first passage. Who's that? The one lone unknown who? Believer. Somewhere out there. We don't even know. He just fears Allah in the unseen. Ar-Rahman in the unseen. That one. That believer will find inspiration in this passage somewhere. So those three audiences are going to learn lessons, each of them, for themselves in this history. Now we begin. وَضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلًا أَصْحَابَ الْقَرْيَةِ. The town. Give them example of the town. How did Allah describe Quraysh? Did He describe them as the nation? He described them as a nation. And everybody knows who they are, and still Allah made them unknown, like you are insignificant, a nation. And nobody knows what this town is, but instead of saying a town, He called it the town, because this example is more significant than you people. See what Allah made important and what Allah made unimportant? Just by using al-qaryah. إِذْ جَاءَهَا الْمُرْسَلُونَ. When those who were sent came to it. Now I want you to think about my language. It's going to be hard to explain, but I'll try to make it easy. Give the example of the people of the town when messengers came to it. People of the town when messengers came to it. What is it? The town. I was expecting Allah to say, give the example of the people of the town when messengers came to them. Yes? But instead of coming to them, Allah says they came to it. What's the difference? Does it make a difference? Absolutely it does. If you came to them, then the only concern you have is them. If you came to it, that town will be around for generations. They will not be around for generations. But what should be around for generations? The town. Messengers come so they can give guidance to the people in front of them, and through them their children, and their children, and their children, and their children. They are concerned with the much larger audience, the longer ramifications of da'wah. So they don't just think about the short term. If they only thought about the short term, it would have said, they came to them. But Allah says, no, they came to it. They want this town to survive. Messengers don't come to destroy towns. Messengers come to sustain towns. These towns were already on the verge of destruction. They had already, people think, when messengers come, Allah destroys towns. That's how our formula works in our head. That is immature. Nations were already about to be destroyed because of their sins. Messengers came as a last hope. Fix yourself. They didn't come to destroy, they came to fix. And then people start blaming the messengers. Because of you we got destroyed. Actually, you were heading down terminal cancer road all on your own. You were heading down that road all on your own. The messengers were actually an act of mercy, which has already been established in Tanzeel al-Azizi ar-Rahim. The messenger is supposed to be a mercy. Now, these three audiences, I already told you about how this town is supposed to be significant, and there's concern for the next generation. Now look at the word al-Mursalun. Al-Mursalun. إِذْ جَاءَهَا الْمُرْسَلُونَ. Just like إِنَّكَ لَمِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. The same word, isn't it? When I've discussed that second ayah, I told you the Prophet is being told, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he is part of a brotherhood. You remember that? And now the exact same word is being used again to remind the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you are part of a brotherhood that have gone down the straight path before. Now why don't you take inspiration from your brothers? So now I told you there are three audiences, and the first of them is who? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And now he's already paying extra attention, and it's more relevant to him now because this is his people. This is his team, his brotherhood, al-mursalun. إِذْ أَرْسَلْنَا إِلَيْهِمُ اثْنَيْنِ. When we sent two to them. Wait, Allah sent two messengers? To one town? فَكَذَّبُوهُمَا. Then they called both of them a liar. فَعَزَّزْنَا بِثَالِثٍ. Then we reinforced with a third. Now Allah sent how many messengers to one town? 3. 3 messengers, one town. You know, who should be giving the first khutbah? Who should be giving the main speech? You know, who should be the final speaker? There's 3 of them, you know. So you know, the one who goes first should be less popular than and then you go to the most popular speaker at the end. You know, there should be some kind of hierarchy. No. They see each other as reinforcements of each other. They're not in competition with each other. When you call people to Allah, you're not in competition with anybody else. You're only in cooperation with everybody else. Isn't that an important lesson to learn? And messengers are not small personalities. Messengers are big personalities. In one little town, how many big personalities? 3. There's room for 3. Which means you're not that big of a personality, I'm not that big of a personality, there's room for more. We need to understand something about calling people to Allah. Even messengers need help. Who do I think I am, or who you think you are? You have to be able to accept help. Then understand that there was never any jealousy between them. All there was cooperation. And then, the question arises, what would a third one do that 2 couldn't do? 2 of them tried, didn't work. And a third one, Allah says, I reinforced with a third. Then they all said, we have been sent towards you. We are the ones that have been sent especially towards all of you. They joined in one voice. So 2 became 3. The question is, what's the point? The point is support. Even messengers need support. The 2 were lonely, and Allah wanted to reinforce them and reinforce the mission, empower the mission. That's why He used the word azzazna. So even messengers need what? Support. Now in history, messengers were supported by other messengers. The Prophet ﷺ does not have that luxury. Why not? Why can't he be supported by another messenger? Because he's the last one. But then when he hears this, he's thinking, what about my support? But that's already been answered. Because Allah's support, you know the word azzazna? Even if you don't know Arabic, azzazna. What name of Allah came from the same root? Tanzeel al-Aziz al-Rahim. Allah has already given the Prophet support with His own words. Where messengers had to come to give support, my message comes and gives you support. He has given him Qur'an that is more powerful than any messenger could have been. Alayhi salatu wassalam. So now that's their support, but that was his support. فَقَالُوا إِنَّا إِلَيْكُمْ مُرْسَلُونَ. Now the last point about this ayah that I want to make is that, you know, the fact that there were 3 of them, 3 of them, and nobody listened, is actually not depressing to the Prophet ﷺ. There's only one of me. There were 3 of them and they still didn't listen. Actually, it's the other way around. The fact of the matter is now the Prophet ﷺ is really able to understand that when people have a wall in front of them and a wall behind them and covers on top, doesn't matter how much you give them, they won't listen. Even if one town gets 3 messengers, it don't make a difference. The Prophet ﷺ is now becoming clear through this lesson that his job for some people is just impossible. They just won't listen. What we call in Urdu, deet hadi. Now, قَالُوا مَا أَنْتُمْ إِلَّا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُنَا. The people responded when they told them, we are the ones that have been sent towards you. You are nothing but just flesh and bones like we are. Basharun. Bashar in Arabic comes from bishr. Bishr means skin. Your skin is just like mine. What makes you special? وَمَا أَنزَلَ الرَّحْمَنُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. Ar-Rahman, the incredibly merciful, did not send anything. Not at all. What are you talking about? He sent some message. إِنْ أَنْتُمْ إِلَّا تَكْذِبُونَ. You all are nothing but, you're doing nothing but making lies. All you people, all the 3 of you do is make lies. Please, stop this lying business. In other words, now they're being ridiculed and called liars. You know, in the beginning of the surah, Allah validated the Prophet ﷺ and told him, no doubt you are a messenger, you are from among the messengers. Because people considered him a liar, and now it's spelled out. In the past, you're not alone. You were not the first one to be called a liar. Even three together with the same exact message were called liars altogether. Now let's dig into this ayah. You're nothing but a human being like us. What's the point of saying that? The message is supposed to be supernatural, coming from the skies. So somebody complains, if the message is so super awesome, coming from intergalactic space, then how come the person delivering the message doesn't have intergalactic powers? Why don't you give us an angel or somebody with superpowers or something? Because if it's a super message, there should be a Superman type character to deliver that message. By the way, this is what they do with Jesus. Make him more than human, right? So the message should be accepted because he's more than human. This is what they did with the mythology of Superman. He's come from another planet with a message of peace. He gets his power from the sun. And he floats like this. All Jesus-y. Right? That's what he does. So the play on the word sun, by the way. Like sun, sun. Anyway. So the idea that the messenger himself has to be supernatural. You know what the Qur'an's response to that is? If Allah sent an angel, if Allah sent a jinn or something to give you a message, you would have said, how are we supposed to follow this? This is relevant for angels. Obviously an angel can do it. How am I supposed to do it? And then Muslims turn this around and make the Prophet ﷺ almost like an angel and say, yeah, but that was the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. That was the Prophet. This is just me. I can't do that stuff. Who do you think I am comparing me to the Prophet? I'm not comparing you to the Prophet ﷺ, but he came so he could be followed. Allah chose a human being so he could be followed. Not so he cannot be followed. You see, praising the Prophet ﷺ has a place. But if you praise him to the point where you make him beyond human, then you won't be able to follow him anymore. Alayhi salatu wassalam. That's why it has to be said. Now the thing is, when they said, you are nothing but a person just like we are, just flesh and bones, skin just like we are, that's not exactly true, is it? He's not exactly like them, is he? In the beginning of the surah, Allah did explain that he is from the ones that are sent upon a straight path. What makes him different from others? Number one, that he's on a straight path. Number two, that he's not speaking on his own behalf. These are two things that make him different from this entire society. Actually, the Prophet himself was told in Surah Al-Kahf, إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ. Tell them I'm just a person just like you. But there's a difference. يُوحَى إِلَيَّ. That revelation has come to. There is a difference. They're not willing to acknowledge that difference. Now I need you to understand also that in the previous ayah, Allah said, فَعَزَّزْنَا بِثَالِثٍ. What did Azdazna remind you of? What name of Allah? Okay, when you remember the word Aziz, which ayah do you remember? Tanzeel al-Aziz al-Rahim. But how many names of Allah were in that ayah? 2. Al-Aziz, al-Rahim. Look at this next ayah. وَمَا أَنزَلَ الرَّحْمَنُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. Which name came up? Ar-Rahman, which is related to which name? So Allah is reviewing Tanzeel al-Aziz al-Rahim in the story. He's reinforcing ideas. He's building it over again. So now they say, Ar-Rahman did not send anything at all. Why would they say that? Why would they say Ar-Rahman didn't send? Why did they say Allah didn't send anything at all? Why did they say the incredibly merciful didn't send anything at all? As a matter of fact, this is sarcasm. This one you keep calling Ar-Rahman, what did he send? Yeah, this is supposed to be mercy? It's a joke to them. So they're speaking about Ar-Rahman in a joking fashion. وَمَا أَنزَلَ الرَّحْمَنُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ إِنْ أَنْتُمْ إِلَّا تَكْذِبُونَ. You people, all you're doing is lying. Please. Now here, the last point I want to make in this 14th ayah, I think it's the 14th ayah, the 15th ayah, is something about bosses. I hate bosses. You hate bosses too. You don't have to tell me. I know. Human beings don't like being told what to do. I don't like it when my teacher gives me homework in 3rd grade. I don't like it. I don't like it when the cop tells me to pull over. I don't like it when the government tells me to pay tax. When the county tells me to pay property tax. Too. I don't like it. I don't like it when the doctor tells me to take my medicine on time. I don't like it. I don't like it anywhere. I don't even like it when the lady tells me to put my seatbelt on in the airplane. Or put my tray table up, you put it up. We don't like being told what to do. We don't like it. As human beings say, who are you to tell me? You're just like me. Even in small things, siblings. Hey, could you give me that? Get it yourself. You're not the boss of me. And it starts. What'd you say? And then, you know. So then, if that's human nature, we cannot accept, we don't like authority. This is not a Muslim, non-Muslim thing. This is just a human thing. We don't like it. You know, guys are playing basketball, some uncle comes, it is really late. Oh, I hate that uncle. That's the adhan uncle. If that's our nature, then when a messenger comes, a messenger is not asking you to obey him in small things. A messenger, if you accept him, he's going to dictate everything you do in life, isn't he? He's going to tell you how to sleep, how to wake up, what to say, what not to say, when to pray, when not to pray, what to do, what not to do, how to get married, how to get divorced. What should you do when you live? What should you do when you're dead? How should you be buried? How should you think about your ancestors? Not only what you say, he's going to tell you what to think. He's going to tell you what to love. He's going to tell you what to hate. Isn't he? That's a lot of authority. Human beings don't like what? They don't like authority. So they say, you're just a person. How can I accept your authority? How are you any better than me? Excuse me? I need my freedom. You're not the boss of me. And that's not a new thing. You know, some teenager didn't come up with that one. It's always been there. It's always been there. It's in the Qur'an, the Quran. مَا أَنْتُمْ إِلَّا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُنَا وَمَا أَنزَلَ الرَّحْمَنُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. People are lying. Please. This entire idea, this notion of a messenger having a higher truth puts a messenger in a different pedestal, and human beings don't like other human beings on a pedestal. We can't accept it. This was the reason for his rejection. They respond. And the way they respond is so epic. قالوا, they said, رَبُّنَا يَعْلَمُ, our master, in fact, he knows, إِنَّا إِلَيْكُمْ لَمُرْسَلُونَ, that we truly are the ones sent towards you. Whether you know it or not, or you accept it or not, who already knows it? Allah does. We don't need validation from you, we get validation from Allah. Is that a review of something we already learned? That a messenger doesn't need validation from people, he gets validation from Allah. Did that come before? وَالْقُرْآنِ الْحَكِيمِ إِنَّكَ لَمِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. Now that's being reinforced. Even these messengers knew that their validation comes from Allah. This is review for the messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And by the way, now they've been rejected already. They've been told you're liars. So the next time they respond, this is the second time you find the words إِنَّا إِلَيْكُمْ مُرْسَلُونَ. But this time you find, is that a child screaming? Oh, now he stopped. Oh, it's a baby. Babies are cute. Okay. Inna ilaykum. Most babies are cute. Hope that is a cute baby. I know it's mean. But I have 6 kids. I can say it. Some kids come out looking 90 years old. They do. You're supposed to say mashallah not to be rude. That kid just got offended. Other kids like really come out cute. Like our last one. I told my wife, what happened here? And then the kid got cute later. I was like, okay, you're okay now. You're okay. Because they, it's like a prune it's like, you know how grapes turn into prunes? But it's actually the other way. The prune turns into a grape. It's the other way. I could talk like that. It's completely fine. And you're free to be offended. That's okay too, because I don't live here. Okay, so what I was saying was, they don't just say we are messengers to you, they say we truly are messengers to you. La mursalun. You notice a lam is there, that wasn't there before. And that's because now they're refuting them, and they're engaged in debate. Things are getting heated. And the heat of the argument is being captured in the lam. Inna ilaykum la mursalun. Wa ma alayna illa al-balaghul mubin. There's our only responsibility. There's no responsibility on us at all, except clear communication. The messengers are saying, no responsibility falls on our shoulders except clear communication. Now what does that mean? That means they have one task, and one task alone is to communicate, to stay on the straight path and say what even some might find offensive, but say it anyway, even if it gets them in more trouble and more trouble and more trouble. They have to stick to it because that is their job. And they cannot waver from those words. They have to say them clearly and openly. They cannot fluctuate. Has that been something already taught in the surah? عَلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. You see how the Qur'an is tight? How it reviews its concepts? How it reinforces? Allah said in the beginning, the Qur'an is well knit. That's one of the things I want to show you here, is how these ideas, they keep reinforcing themselves and building on top of each other. So now, the second is that, لَا عَلَيْكُمْ حِسَابَنَا أو حِسَابُنَا فَلَا نَقِفْ. You're not in charge of us. We can't stop. We have an obligation on us. We have a duty upon ourselves to deliver clearly, to communicate clearly. Where did that duty come from? It came from the fact that they are mursaleen. They have been sent with a mission, which was something taught previously as well. Now, finally, those two words, balagh and mubin, very powerful words. I need you to understand both of them in a little bit more depth. Balagha in Arabic means to reach. To reach. The science of effective communication in Arabic is called balagha. Effective communication, okay? And the idea behind balagha is, when somebody says words are like a recent book on rhetoric said, words like loaded pistols. Words are like a weapon. Words are like a weapon. And the target for this weapon is your heart. Your emotions, your feelings, your opinions that rest in your heart. That is the target of someone's words. So if they use the kinds of words that can penetrate the security of your chest, the rib cage that's there, get through your ears, penetrate through the chest, and make it all the way deep inside your heart, and affect that heart, then that is balagh. Balagh is not just, communication doesn't even begin to cover it. We're talking about heart-penetrating, transformative communication. We're talking about we are going to speak in a way that is the most effective possibly. Now, even though we're going to speak the most effective words, where does change itself come from? Where does change come from? Does it come from our words? The change comes from Allah. Was that something already taught? Inna nahnu nuhyil mauta. We give life to the dead. He's the one who resuscitates the hearts. Then why is He telling people to speak effective language? If Allah's going to do it, I don't have to do much. That's not how it works. The rule of Allah in this life, for everything, including da'wah, including inviting people to Allah, is you have to be the very, very best and the most effective you possibly can be. And then Allah will say, kun fayakun. Allah doesn't give His kun fayakun away for free. You have to give your best, and then He gives you results. You don't give your best, He refuses to give you results. In other words, the results don't come because I'm the best, or because I'm trying to be the best. The results come from Allah, because if He feels I deserve them as a result of my effort. So they have to make balagh happen. They have to make clear, effective communication happen. For the Prophet ﷺ, this is relief, because he actually doesn't have to come up with any words. All the words that he needs to get that across is what? Qur'an. Balagh, فَهَلْ يُهْلَكُ إِلَّا الْقَوْمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. It itself is balagh. But it's not just balagh. They say, وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينَ. The word mubin, or abana, the verb abana, means to separate. We're going to communicate to you in a way that doesn't just appeal to your emotions and affects you. We're going to communicate to you in a way that separates truth from falsehood. That the ideas you have that you need to understand are no good are now clearly understood as no good. In other words, somebody could give a speech that moves people's hearts. I listen to a lot of Christian talk radio. I've actually even been to a Joel Osteen program. I slept a little bit. I just wanted to see what these people do. What do they do? How are they packing an entire stadium every weekend? I need to know. And you know what? Everybody else, yes, yes. What is he doing? He's moving people's what? Hearts. There's balagh there. But you know what isn't there? Mubin isn't there. Clarity is not there. They're not clarifying anything. They say the silliest things, and they get away with it. I've heard preachers talk about, one morning, I was having chocolate milk. And I was stirring the milk in the chocolate. I was stirring it up. And I started thinking, you got to stir your life up. Everybody's got to just stir it up. Stir up your life. Bring Jesus back in your life. Stir it all up. And there's people sitting there saying, I'm stirring. I'm stirring. Lord, I'm stirring. Like, well, aqim as-salat? Like, I mean, you can move people, you can stir it up, but there's no clarity. You could give an effective speech and not say anything. It could happen. It could happen. You could fire people up. And people go, hallelujah, yeah, amen, takbir. You could do that, but didn't say anything clear. Didn't clarify any concepts. So there's a combination in al-balagh al-mubin. Appealing to emotions is in al-balagh, but appealing to your intellect is in al-mubin, and that both of those have to be there, guys. That's communication. If communication is only academic, Surah Yaseen is a Meccan surah, it was revealed. It's a 36th surah in the Qur'an, it has 83 ayahs. Ibn Kathir. I could give you information, and it might be mubin, but it has to have balagh in it too. That's how effective communication works. And that is the legacy of Prophets, ﷺ. If you don't understand that, you know what people do with this ayah? I love it. Hey, by the way, your nails are haram. What? وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينَ. Our only responsibility is to communicate the message. What? What Qur'an are you reading, you monkey? Like, that's not how it works. Anyway, so now they said we're going to communicate clearly, and these people could not respond with intelligence. They couldn't. So they had to come up with some other unintelligent way to respond, and they said, قَالُوا إِنَّا تَطَيَّرْنَا بِكُمْ. We consider you people a curse. We consider all of you a bad omen. You're a bad sign. Bad things have started happening since these false prophets came. The weather's gotten worse, or something. لَإِن لَمْ تَنْتَهُوا. If you people don't stop, لَنَرْجُمَنَّكُمْ. We will start stoning you. Rajm could mean stoning to death. It could also just mean stoning. Every time we see you, that's what we're going to start doing. We'll make a policy out of people just pelting you wherever you go. Like, shaitan, we call him أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. That doesn't mean we stone him to death, but we do cast him off. So لَنَرْجُمَنَّكُمْ could mean stoning all the way to death, but it could also mean just, every time we see you, now we know what to do. Just grab a rock and hit him so he goes away. لَنَرْجُمَنَّكُمْ. We can't even face listening to you anymore. That's how much of a curse you've become to our society. وَلَا يَمَسَّنَّكُمْ مِنَّا عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. And if that's not enough, then you will see a really, truly torturous punishment is going to touch you, and it's going to come from us. You are a curse, and we better alleviate this curse. Our society needs to be cleansed from this filthy message you call Islam. This poison, this cancer needs to be removed from our society. By the way, in this ayah, it's not just a conversation anymore. It started with, we think you guys are cursed, or you guys are a curse. But then it went on, and it made it into, well, this curse is like a disease, and we don't want our society to get diseased. So we're going to keep you away, like a diseased person who's got an infectious disease is kept away. So we're going to stone you to keep you away. And if that doesn't work, we're going to have to torture you. That's what's happening here. Now they're starting to get threatened. So I want you to understand something. Who is listening to these ayat? This is not just a story. There were three audiences, remember? The Prophet himself, the believer, the lone believers, and the disbelievers. The Prophet is being told, this is what happens after لَقَدْ حَقَّ الْقَوْلُ عَلَىٰ أَكْثَرِهِمْ. When the truth becomes absolutely clear, and they still don't believe, then there's no point in reasoning with them. And if you don't back off from your claims, they don't have any arguments against you anymore, because they already know it's true. So they're going to come up with fictitious things, like you're cursed. And if that doesn't work, they're going to start threatening you. And it might even come to the point where they try to what? Kill you. The Prophet is being mentally prepared. The companions are being mentally prepared that things are about to get a lot worse. And that's not the first time it's happened before. Everything goes back to the Prophet ﷺ's legacy. It keeps tying itself to him, because that's where the surah began. Now, another meaning of إِنَّا تَطَيَّرْنَا بِكُمْ لَمْ نَرَ عَلَى وُجُوهِكُمْ خَيْرًا فِي عَيْشِنَا. One of the companions commented that one of the meanings of this was, We never see anything good come from you for our society. What good is your message for our society? Show me where the benefits are. There are people who argue, yeah, I'd like to think about Islam, but how is it going to help the economy? How's it going to help jobs? How's it going to help healthcare? Show me some benefits of this Islam so I can follow it. Islam can have benefits, but that's not why it came. Islam came to give you the message of truth. Messengers don't come to serve your economy or to serve your healthcare. Messengers came to give you purpose in your life. And when you follow that purpose, does that give you benefits? Yes. But when you start making Islam about the benefits, then you forgot what Islam itself is. You've forgotten what it is. You know, some people, all they talk about is, Islam has a really good dietary plan. If you fast on Mondays and Thursdays, that's actually really good for your brain. And it has several, significant benefits, and there's been scientific studies about weight loss and blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. I'm ready to become Muslim, sign me up. Because I've been trying to lose weight for so long. It doesn't work like that. That's not how that's not what they came with. And so تَطَيَّرْنَا بِكُم means, what worldly benefit do we see? All you people talk about is we're doing something wrong. We can't cheat our customers anymore. We can't do all kinds of shameless things anymore. You're stopping us from everything. And so we're ready to kill you. And if they are ready to kill him, that's the most important part of this ayah. If they are ready to kill him, you know what that admits? It actually admits that they have no arguments left. When you resort to violence, it actually means you have no intelligent answer left. This is even true of 7 or 6-year-olds. 2 plus 2 is 4. No, it's 5, the big fat kid says. No, it's 4. It's 5. I said it's 5. No, and the skinny desi kid says, no, it's pretty sure it's 4. It's 5. Yes, it's 5. When you can't reason, then you use force. Actually, that means that you don't have reasons left. That means you were wrong. The use of violence is the use of defeat, is the acceptance of defeat. You know why that's important to understand, right? When Islam is insulted, which happens a lot nowadays, and some people decide to respond with violence in the name of Islam, you know what they're doing? They're actually making it sound like Islam doesn't have an intelligent response. The same criticism Allah made of disbelievers can now be made of believers. It's scary. How low we've gotten in our intelligence that we think that's an appropriate response. How far from the original teachings of this deen that is. It's incredible. قَالُوا طَائِرُكُمْ مَعَكُمْ. The prophets are so intelligent, they said your curse is with you. The curse you just made up is with you. Now what does that mean? This is not, by the way, طَائِرُكُمْ بِكُمْ. If it was طَائِرُكُمْ بِكُمْ, it would have been completely different meaning. It would have been, you're the ones that are cursed. You think we're cursed? We think you're cursed. And some people translate it like that. Your curse is yours. May you be cursed. وَعَلَيْكُمُ الْكُرْسِ. No, that is not what this means. If it meant that, it would have been طَائِرُكُمْ بِكُمْ, not مَعَكُمْ. Ma'akum changes the meaning entirely. The first meaning of ta'irukum ma'akum is, be honest. You know the real reasons you have this curse story with you. You know the real reasons are you don't want to accept the truth. You know the real reasons are you don't like to make changes in your life. You'd like to get away, continue to get away with your injustices. You know what you really have with you. Come on. The second is, get real. Your curse that is only with you, meaning only in your minds. This is only a figment of your imagination. This doesn't make any sense. We're giving you a message that appeals to your emotions and appeals to your reason. Balaghun mubin. You come back with something that is just trying to scare people, just appeal to their emotions, has no reasonable or rational basis. تَطَيَّرْنَا بِكُمْ. We think you guys are cursed. You have an inferior response. And this is an overreactionary response. Respond to reason with reason. You're responding to reason with superstition. You people are cursed. Then on top of that, you're responding to it with threats. We're going to stone you. And you're ready to even kill. وَلَا يَمَسَّنَّكُم مِّنَّا عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. This is so overreactionary, and that's why the word بَلْ أَنْتُمْ قَوْمٌ مُسْرِفُونَ. Rather, you are a nation that overreacts, goes overboard. That's musrifun. You're excessive. Now I need you to understand the meaning of excessiveness. Excessive responses. It's not just about violence, it's about three things. It started with superstition and then threats and then violence. So I want to talk to you specifically about superstitions and excessiveness. Allah gifted every human being with a brain. Alhamdulillah, we have a beautiful thing called a mind that we're supposed to use. The Qur'an keeps telling us to use it. أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. And Allah told us the proper way of thinking too. Use your intellect, think about the world around you, think about history, and think about revelation. Use your mind, yes? But for some people, that's not enough. They want to see something extra. They love to believe in superstitious stuff. And this is the mindset of a musrif. The things Allah told you to think about are not enough for you. You want something more. And this disease nowadays has even hit the Muslim. We have to come up with like 80 jinn stories. We have to. We have to believe in the blessings of, these words. If you recite them this many times, then your motorcycle does not need an oil change or something. We have to come up with this excessive stuff because what Allah gave us clearly is not enough. You need something more. You need something more. Oh, somebody's done magic on my cousin and that's why she's not getting through med school and now we have to undo that magic, so I'm going to Hogwarts. And so we're this excessiveness in thought, it doesn't let you restrain your mind. So even when you hear reasonable things, because your mind is so full of this garbage, this mythical, nonsensical garbage in the name of Islam, that you can't even be capable of clear thought anymore. This is بَلْ أَنْتُمْ قَوْمٌ مُسْرِفُونَ.